All right, first up is a 16 Nissan Rogue. Came to us because it needed a ball joint, which is part of the control arm. Very common. We've replaced hundreds of these. If you own a Nissan Rogue, you'll be doing control arms. Very, very, very common. We did both sides because the other side's just going to go bad soon anyway. And everything came out great, and the vehicle is back on the road. And next up is a 14 Toyota Tundra. These are great vehicles. They really just come in for maintenance. Just needed front brakes, and they wanted a tune-up. So we did spark plugs and filters and things, and you'll see that in a minute. Um, Nice, easy brake job. They've been using the same brake calipers for the past 30 years. We actually required them with every brake job because they have four pistons in there, which is eight total. And there's always one that hangs up and makes the brake pad wear down uneven or shortens the life of them. This is Chris removing the spark plug, putting in a new spark plug. There's actually eight of them. This is probably the easiest one to get to for filming. But everything came out great. And all these things need is maintenance. These 5.7 liter engines, I mean, yeah, they're terrible on gas, but uh, but they run forever. I mean, you'll get 300,000 or 400,000 miles out of these. You won't see that out of any of the American trucks. I mean, unless you put a lot of money into it. And here's the cabin filter. All of these always look gross, but this one didn't look too bad. Most of them are behind the glove box. You can change them yourself if you want to, or we include them with tune-ups and things. People don't even know they even have them. But everything came out great, and the vehicle is back on the road. All right, next up is a 16 Audi Q5. And what do we have here? We have another crankcase breather. These things cause check engine lights. They cause the engine to run rough. Very easy to check. Just pull the oil cap off while it's running. And if there's vacuum sucking your hand or the cap back in, then that is the problem. More and more vehicles are going to this. Apparently, it must be better for emission, but it's definitely not better for your wallet. The simple PCV valve lasted a very long time. Back on the road. All right, next up is an 18 Subaru Crosstrek. First time customer came to us for an oil leak, and there was a rot hole right in the oil pan. Very common on the older ones, but 2018, that's the first one that I've seen that newer that had it. So they're going to be more and more common. It's a job we do regularly. You got to drop the whole exhaust in order to do this, a few other things. But other than that, it's relatively straightforward. And there it is, and the vehicle is back on the road. All right, next up is an '08 Toyota Prius. This came in for a light on in the dash, giant exclamation point, which means the high voltage system has a problem, and the inverter was overheating. Very common. They have a little electric water pump. It's called the inverter coolant pump. We swap these out all the time. They're very, very common. They're behind the headlight, and you can bleed it with a scan tool when you're all done. This vehicle has a separate cooling system for the engine and another cooling system for the high voltage system. Everything came out great, and the vehicle is back on the road. All right, next up is a 14 Kia Optima. It came in because there was a rhythmic clicking sound coming out of the dashboard, and it was coming from one of the electric actuators called the mode door actuator. A lot of work to put it in. There's a few different doors back there, some for the temperature, some for the recirculation. This one was for the mode door. Very, very, very annoying sound that would still continue to click even after you shut the vehicle down. But we were able to get it done all in one day once the part came in, and everything came out excellent, and the vehicle is back on the road. All right, next up is a 16 Volvo XC90. It came to us for a coolant leak and a low coolant message. And boy, every single radiator hose on this thing is some complex assembly. We started off by just replacing what we saw was this one coolant line. That was expensive enough. And then a second one broke while we were working on it, all plastic, all cracked. This one's underneath the intake manifold. Of course, it's underneath the intake manifold. Everything is under that. We went to Volvo twice. We got a nice OE line. This thing lasted 10 years. We should get another 10 years out of this. And everything everything was good afterwards. It took basically 2 days to do. One day swapping one hose out and then driving back to Volvo, get another hose, swap the other one out. Fresh intake gasket while we were there. Everything came out great. I remember when everything was simple. Nice, you know, one-of-the-mill radiator hoses. Now they're all these complex assemblies and a lot more expensive to do. But everything came out excellent. Vehicles back on the road, customers happy. And moving on to the next thing. All right, next up is a 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just came in for basic maintenance, did an oil change, a transmission fluid change, transfer case fluid change. The transmission filter is part of the pan. It's a plastic pan. You just replace the pan and the filter all together as one assembly. More and more vehicles are going to this. This is like a Mercedes transmission, and I swear they have the same exact part number. We used all original equipment parts. We got it all from Tasca. And this is Henry putting the pan back on. And like I said, the filter is part of that. And this is what's called a sealed transmission. So there's no dipstick, but it's not completely sealed. There's actually a fill plug. But the only way to add fluid to the transmission is through a special pump. And they sell them, they're cheap. It's like fluid extractor, and usually you can pump the fluid back in. The number one reason for this isn't to make it more difficult to service. It's because the number one reason transmissions fail under warranty is because the motorist puts the wrong fluid in the transmission. And because they took the dipstick away, they just assume that there it is right there, that extractor. They just assume that the motorist will go to a shop and it will be professionally done using the right fluid. So that's the reason why they don't have dipsticks on a lot of transmissions anymore. And that's the transmission, I'm sorry, the transfer case being drained. Everything came out great. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you.